All right, we're here with a 1v1 TlaxtlanSoothsayer versus the mighty Felkon squaring off to finish off the Warpstone Cup Grand Finals. If you were watching this stream on Saturday, unfortunately Steam was down, so both the competitors decided to finish their games offline and send me all of the replays. So we're going to go through those one at a time here today, and we're going to see who ends up winning the Warpstone Cup. At this point in the Grand Finals, Felkon is up 2-0 against TlaxtlanSoothsayer. If TlaxtlanSoothsayer can win this one, he can start to claw his way back into these finals. But if Felkon wins this match here today, that would cement him as our first winner of the Warpstone Cup competitive league. Let's take a look at Felkon's armies here. It's going to be Dark Elves for the Felkon versus Bretonnia. Versus TlaxtlanSoothsayer as Bretonnia. So taking a look at Felkon's army, it's a pretty kind of good standard, typical block army when it comes to Dark Elves. We see 1 and 2 units of Dread Spears, and then 3 units of Bleak Swords in the dead center. Taking a look at the Bleak Sword, they've got 34 melee attack, 30 melee defense, and 28 weapon strength. This just ekes them out slightly above Men-at-Arms. So for the most part, the Bleak Sword is just going to be holding the line against any kind of Men-at-Arms, Peasants, even Battle Pilgrim play to get a lot of the bigger, heavier hitting things into the army. And that bigger and heavier hitting thing is going to be Cold One Knights across the way. We've got 3 of these bad boys sticking in here. Anti-large AP coming in hot and wild from them. They do have a pretty low armor, and their melee defense is pretty subpar. So when it comes to getting in duels with, say, Grail Knights or any of the anti-large Cav variant of the Bretonnian, it's not going to be too well for them. But they will perform very well against stuff like Knights Errant, Questing Knights, who will also dish quite a bit of damage back out to them, but the anti-large should help them quite a bit. Now, taking a look at some skirmisher play, we can see 2 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. I thought that was 2. Only just 1, it looks like. The 1 unit of Dark Riders with repeating crossbows. And we've seen so many of these in recent playthroughs. If you're able to watch the stream on Saturday, Turner and I were talking about how the typical kind of Dark Elf army now has 3 of these guys, a really good front line of Bleak Swords, and then a lot of other just kind of backline action. So seeing these guys is none too surprising. Sinesh's Harvesters with some Soul Stealer and Word of Pain. Now, in the air, we're going to be seeing 1 Black Dragon and then a Malekith on the mighty Seraphon. Now, on Seraphon here, he's only taking the Soul Stealer. This is the typical kind of kit that we've come to expect from Malekith. This allows him to just tank a lot of damage. But we're going to be able to see a total of 6 breath attacks of Noxious Breath between the 2 of these, and it should be quite fun to see how this pans out. Now let's take a look at TlaxtlanSoothsayer's army, and he has taken 3 units of Questing Knights, actually 4 units of Questing Knights, and that is going to bring a ton of AP to the table here. He does have a unit of Knights Errant for just some additional ability to ride down Bleak Swords or any kind of other infantry of the Dark Elves, but for the most part, we're going to be seeing Men-at-Arms across the front line for all of TlaxtlanSoothsayer's army. Now, again, taking a look at these Men-at-Arms, you can see 27 melee attack, 26 melee defense, 26 weapon strength. They're just below a Bleak Sword. A Bleak Sword, I believe, has 30, 28, and 28. We'll take a look right now if I do this. 34, 30, and 28. So they have, the Bleak Swords obviously have a better melee attack, defense, and weapon strength, but the Men-at-Arms should be able to hold the line for as long as possible while the Questing Knights do their bidding. Now, we also have a Damsel of Beast here with Transformation of Cadon and Flock of Doom. Flock of Doom is going to work quite well against that Dark Elf front line. Now, in the air, we have 2 units of Pegasus Knights, not to be confused with Royal Pegasus Knights, which have magic damage and AP. The Pegasus Knight just simply has anti-large. But this will be a great way to threaten a typical kind of flying lore that you get with Dark Elves. And to see 2 of these in this army in conjunction with King Leonker means that there's going to be a lot of Air Force play today. So King Leonker here has his lovely shield. There it is. I'm sorry, the Sword of Corona. I always look at it as a shield. Minus 27 to melee defense and armor. But this should be a fun fight here. Let's see it go underway. As a whole, I think that both armies have a very fun picks in this situation. I think that they've taken a lot of things that will counter one another. These Cold One Knights are going to play very well against those Questing Knights. At the same time, the Questing Knights, though, are in such an abundance that they'll be able to just, I think, overwhelm all of these Cold One Knights. Now, when it comes to the Air Force game, 2 Black Dragons here against all these Pegasus Knights. Pegasus Knights have a 10 anti-large, which is quite good. So I think that these Black Dragons are going to be really up against the wall against this much anti-large and lone cur, especially with his sort of Corone being able to negate a lot of their melee defense and armor. So, seeing how this fight is going already, I'm getting some probing shots here in from these Senescious Harvesters and Dark Riders, trying to bait out the rest of these units of Knights, get them out of the trees, get them visible, so Felkon can decide what he wants to do with them. Now, TlaxtlanSoothsayer is bringing the rest of his army on the right side of the flank. You can see that, for the most part, he's just using his cavalry to kind of bait these two back, and now he's coming and flying right back onto them. That's not going to go too well. Ooh, getting right into the thick of things. The Pegasus Knights are much faster than the Black Dragons, as they just already start poking into, look at this, immediately swarming over this Black Dragon like a bunch of ants. The glorious charge of the Rohirrim. This is just a glorious fight all over the place. Transformation of Kadon, I heard that screaming off in the background, so we're probably going to see a Manticore jumping in. It's right over there. Look at this. Oh, just slamming right into each other, knocking that Cold One Knight clear off of his mount. Oh, man. So let's take a look at this. Let's slow this down a little bit, try and get a better idea of what's going on. So, Soto Corone and Sandra Ground has been knocked off and on to Malekith here. So we're going to be seeing a huge reduction to the defensive abilities to everything in this big bubble here. We can see that this Black Dragon is just getting harassed so much by the Manticore, by the Pegasus Knights. It's being brought down so quickly before it can even use any of its breath attacks. So it is putting in quite a bit of punishment. As you can see, the Bleak Swords are kind of holding the line against all these men-at-arms. Some more still to connect. The Dark Riders with repeating crossbows are firing into, well, we can't really tell. Looks like they're probably firing into the Pegasus Knights and not Lowen. And Malekith is looking to do some dueling with some other elements over there. Now, as far as this left flank goes, because there is no magic damage, these Senescious Harvesters are going to be able to tank this situation a little bit better than had these been, say, Grail Guardians or Grail Knights. You can see that they're already kind of starting to lose this engagement. Cold One Knights helping to support the situation over here. Same thing going over here. Dread Spears holding the line against Knights Errant and Spearmen. But for the most part, this fight is getting kicked off in earnest. You can see that Black Dragon just getting out of that fray as fast as possible. Lowen jumping out of this one over here. With Soul Eater knocked onto him, it's helping to leech some of that health away, getting him pretty low in health right now. Oh, a nice breath attack. Felkon gets back up in the air quickly and gets a good breath attack onto this unit of Knights Errant and just melts them. Right before this, brings him back down onto the ground. Now, here's a good play here. What Felkon has done, he's landed his Black Dragon back over into this engagement. Of course, now you can see all these questing Knights hurrying over to this situation, but you have got the Senescious Harvesters over here. You've got Cold One Knights over here. Malekith can now drop into this. You got more Cold One Knights that are coming in. So there's more anti-large reinforcement that can benefit the Black Dragon in this situation, more so than when he was over here. Over here, he was pretty well unsupported. So in this fight kind of go underway more because the Black Dragon is continuously being harassed. But take a look at this. The Pegasus Knights are in bad shape. They're getting hit pretty hard. This unit is getting completely trounced. Oh, and another breath attack dropping onto this unit of questing Knights right here. Man, this thing is just going off all over the place. Both units of Pegasus Knights are fleeing. They've been getting shots in from the repeater crossbows, as well as from the other Cold One Knights. Lowen coming in right here onto Malekith here, snapping his mighty jaws and beakus all over the place. Our second transformation of Kadon going off in the back line, coming right over towards Malekith to help support Lowen here. Bringing Malekith back down to help out with some anti-large support. He's landed the mighty Witch King into this unit of questing Knights, looking to just gobble them up. This Black Dragon just can't hold in anymore. I believe we have another Soul Stealer. Yeah, Soul Stealer gone down on King Lowen, getting some good regeneration going on. I don't know if it was the Senescious Harvesters or if it was Malekith that dropped that, but regardless, it is going to be doing some damage and healing nonetheless. And we can really see here that the balance of power bar is still at 50-50. We're getting some charging interest from Mounted Yeomen that were on the way back. I didn't focus on them, unfortunately. But we can see some reinforcing elements from these Bleak Swords and from these Dread Spears. The beasts, the Damsel of Beasts, dropping a good flock of doom onto this huge pocket, doing some damage, but was not an overcast, so it did not last for too long. Lowen, though, is in terrible shape. He has been beaten up by Malekith. He has had 2-3 Soul Stealers dropped onto him through this entire fight. He's really trying to stay in this fight as long as he can. TlaxtlanSoothsayer can't lose Lowen at this point, because that is going to be the majority of the leadership for the Bretonnians, all that stuff, just the damsel over here. And you can take a look at this. The Bretonnians are in ragtag shape for the most part. The Pegasus Knights are all beat up. They've just barely dealt with this Black Dragon, which is now going to be broken and fleeing off the table. But you can see that some of these questing knights have come off before fleeing off the table as well. They're trying to help out, but there are so many active portions of the Dark Elf army still. You can see Malekith dropping in, just looking to help out. He fears no darkness when it comes to Lowen, so he's just trying to mop up the rest of the battlefield, put Lowen in a more stressful situation because he has less support on him. And look at this bad boy. I think another Soul Stealer dropping onto him with a Sword of Crone. Word of Pain, actually. So, massive reduction to his melee attack. He's not going to be landing any of his big, heavy, deadly hits now. He's fully surrounded. TlaxtlanSoothsayer just looking to get some kills in with the mighty Lowen Leonkur as the battle of power, or I'm sorry, the balance of power wildly shifts in Felkon's favor. You have more anti-large AP coming his way, looking to slap around the mighty king of Bretonnia. And it's looking like a pretty foregone conclusion here for TlaxtlanSoothsayer and his mighty Knights of Bretonnia. This was a really fun fight. I think that there were so many quick and fast-moving and hard-hitting elements of Soothsayer's army versus Felkon's pretty smaller, more elite army. If we take a look at this, I think that Felkon almost was caught in almost a really bad position by losing his Black Dragon almost immediately. But he was able to get the Black Dragon out of the big alpha strike of the Pegasus Knights and Leonkur and pull it back into the support of these three units of Cold One Knights, the Sinesh's Harvesters. So we've noticed this a lot, right? Felkon gets in situations that he can get himself out of quickly because he just knows how to play the game very well. And Sooth did a really good job of baiting those two, both Malekith and the Black Dragon, into the initial clutches of the Pegasus Knight and Lowen Leonkur. So it worked out very well to his advantage initially, but I think Felkon was just able to squeeze the Black Dragon away. And had he not done that, I think that this fight would have gone. It still would have been an uphill fight, I think, or I'm sorry, it still would have been a strong back and forth. But I think the fact that Black Dragon staying online, getting one or two really solid breath attacks, netting him a total of 53 kills, really helped out for Felkon, because he also got another good breath attack on Malekith onto 1 and 2 units of questing knights. It really shut them down quite hard. So I think that had that not gone through, there would have been a lot more questing knights on the table that could have threatened quite a bit more of Felkon's army. But as a whole, this means that Felkon wins 3-0 against TlaxtlanSoothsayer here in our Warpstone Cup competitive league, and that brings our competitive cup to a close. We will be starting another season here in the next couple weeks, if not months. Probably on the heels of or before the next DLC. I'll kind of decide how I want to do it. But a huge, huge, huge thank you to Shidoku, to Felkon, to TlaxtlanSoothsayer, to FlyingTaco, all of our grand finalists, and then a further thank you to everyone who watched along the way, to Turin for joining in and helping me stream and host on Saturday, to Creative Assembly for both making the Total War Warhammer and for giving early access to every single competitor, or at least the DLC for every single competitor that competed in this Warpstone Cup. And then again, a final thank you to all the competitors that did join us throughout this entire league. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. And of course, lastly, the huge thanks to you guys who've been watching, who have donated throughout these streams. It's been amazing. It's been a really fun league, guys. So I'm really stoked to see our second league kick off here in whatever timeline I decide to do. But we got a lot of fun stuff planned here this week. I got a lot of really cool lore planned, some spooky quote-unquote lore. I got a Primarch video for Conrad Kurz in the making. I got the last like 10 pages of this book I got to knock out, and then I'm going to bam through that video. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.